Alright, Shrub Crafters, today we're going to start, this is little Astrid, otherwise known as Astard, depending if she's being good or bad. She's our little newest puppy, Shrub Edition. She's a Shrub dog, right? Yeah. And we're going to go through my attempt as I make an imitation Berkey water filter system. I was all in favor of going to buy a Berkey, and I was going for the, I think the Imperial, which was the 4-gallon. And I looked at the price. It was $400, $380, somewhere in there, and 107 of that is the filters. I got to thinking, as money's always tight for most of us, unless you're a professional doing this, but for most of us, we're on a budget. So what would be the next best thing? I got to see inside of a Berkey, or an imitation Aqua Pure or one of those companies, and saw how they went together. So I went online to Walmart.com. I found myself some probably Chinese made thin gauge stainless steel. I think it's probably 18, 20 gauge maybe. This is a 12 quart stainless steel. I'm pretty sure I ordered the 16 quart. I did. They sent me the wrong one. What idiots. So it looks like my water supply is going to be slightly less. So the idea is we're going to take this, going to go through the building process, install Berkey blacks. I was looking on Amazon. There was Aqua Pure, who has a replacement, I think it was Aqua Pure Aquarius or one of those. There's a replacement filter for $79 for two. I decided to go with the Berkeys. I'm guessing this isn't going to work. Not without some modification, since our sizing is off. Way to go, Walmart. Hire American workers, you won't have a problem, I'm guessing. 16 quart. Right on the bottom. 12 quart. Highly disappointing. Because the idea was to nest them. Still can work. Actually might work a little better. I'm going to cut out the middle. So the idea is cut out the middle. Use some double-sided tape on the bottom. Set this on. Set that on top. And we're going to drill some holes through the bottom. For that, I recommend a step bit. If you don't have a step bit, you're not familiar with step bits, add one to your kit. One bit, especially through metal, is phenomenal. Bits are at Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. Get a step bit. Sizes are marked on the package, starting at whatever you buy it to the largest hole that will drill. Step bit is phenomenal in that a lot of times with the point, you don't even need to do a starter hole, even in metal. Now, I'd recommend taking a light nail, and we'll do that, tap the holes where you're drilling. There's going to be 3 holes total that I know of in this process. Well, 4 if you count the lid. For the lid, get yourself a set of snips. There's center cut snips, aviation snips, aviation shears. There's left cut and right cut. So when you get into there, you can cut in one direction or the other. Some do both ways. They're straight, they're a little harder. So I would highly recommend when you're going through metal, get the right angle that you are familiar with. Me being a righty, I'm more comfortable going to the left. That's what we're going to use today. Step bit is going to drill the center hole for the water spout, which will be in the middle. I'm going to mark it roughly. Remember to come up the distance from the bottom of the diameter of that spout that needs to go in here. That is going to allow it to be up off the bottom. You're going to be able to fit it You're not going to be too close to the bottom, which will not allow it to seal. So you need to come up that distance of whatever that internal diameter is. So we're going to start with the bottom. If you had two identical pots, thanks Walmart for being idiots, they would stack without this lid. I was pro-conning whether or not I wanted to cut this lid out anyway and set the other secondary pot on there, because if I had two of the same, as I would show you, they would actually fit in perfectly, that you don't need them. I was going to do the lid anyway with some double-sided tape on top to the bottom, and that way you lift your lid off, or the pot off, and it has the lid right on there, and it goes on, and it's always centered, so you don't get a little cockeyed. It might be a little easier. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos out there of people making buckets and so on. I saw one guy did some double-sided tape. I think that's the route I'm going to go. I even thought about drilling this base and putting little clamp brackets with a hose clamp on there. Still may do that. Kind of a little idea in my brain going on. But yeah, that's where we're going to be. I think I can work with this. I am going to send an email to Walmart, because I needed, I was hoping for 2 of these 16-quart stock pots. And the only reason I may keep this is because we're going to Shrubstead tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to return it if they don't have one in stock. Now, if that's the case, I'm just going to put that lid on there and just have to double some of the water supply. Either way, for $22 for the combined pair with a free shipping offer, this thing is $22.98. You're in business for the pots. The filter, or the nozzle, I will show you, and I think I paid $10 for that, and it's a heavy-duty stainless as well. These pots, it says, are made in India. I don't see a gauge on them, but they feel like probably an 18 gauge. Maybe wrong on that. But I'll show you the piece. The filters are going to be the Berkey blacks, and we'll get those in here as well. But first, we're going to do some construction. Part number. This is a beverage filter systems as well, made in China. Part number X000PKZ. F is in Frank, E, Echo, 7. So, sorry, I should have done Foxtrot. It's more tactical. X-ray. That is just a joke. Not picking on anybody. I laugh because if you're military, you say it one way. If you're police, you say it another way. And then if you're security, you say it with whatever you can. Heavy duty beverage. Now, what's neat about step bits, if I can find my step bit, you can match your step bit to the size hole you need. This is 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, I believe. Probably Lennox brand, heavy duty. I'm going to take this, use this, screw a hole. Now, when I was saying we're going to do this, if you go too low, you're going to be fighting against that bottom. So you want to come up high enough to clear. And there's a little, looks like, dent. There's more than one little dent in here, but for $11.98, I'm not going to complain. There's weird fuzz down in here too. Probably been sitting on a shelf somewhere. So I'm going to take the diameter of this and come up to about where I want it, which is going to be about 1/2 inch off the bottom. And since I've got a dent right here, I'm probably going to go centered at least 1/2 inch up, maybe just a hair more to get into the face. Once you've got that, a round file will soften up any burrs you have. However, these cut extremely well. So I'm going to hook this up, and I'm using a corded 1/2 inch drill for this. I have cordless, obviously. You may or may not have seen some of the videos. Corded just going to have a little more power, and since I'm able to use a corded, I'm going to, just because this 1/2 inch, this is actually not a 1/2 inch, but this 3/8 chuck. But I'm going to be able to control that a little bit better, get that exactly where I need to. So I'm going to drill this hole. We'll get something over the workspace so that the other half doesn't come home and see a mess. It's the other thing, whenever you're doing shrub projects, make sure you clean up after yourself. There's nothing worse than having a crappy experience with your shrub partner. Also, some coffee. Definitely the way to go. Keep yourself motivated. Now, if you're not familiar with a quarter drill, having a key, I don't assume, because there are people who have never used drills, there are people who have never tried this. So it's not arrogance on my part saying what to do, but there's a key. Don't lose your key ever. You got to replace them. Key, tighten up the chuck. These are actually much tighter than using cordless, especially if you're trying to make a straight cut. Now, this is cheap gauge stainless steel. There's going to be shavings going everywhere. Protect your eyes. If you care about your shrub dog, protect your eyes too, but good luck trying to get your dog to sit still. I'm going to do the best I can with a little Kentucky windage, an eyeball center. I'm going to go about an inch up from my starting hole. When I say eyeball center, I actually could mark this properly, take a measurement and go there, but who wants to do that? What's cool about these step bits, stay off. Trying to do this on video and get it right is a little more difficult than you might think. Okay, now we're getting our bite in, and I don't know if you saw that, I actually went in with slightly reversed. The first one, that got me a slight mark without bouncing all over. Went forward, got a little bit going. Now I'm putting some downward pressure. Now the bit is starting to bite in. And on the step, again, I'm only doing this because if you don't know what a step bit is, let's see if I can actually use this a little bit. There's our detent. Well, if you saw that, pretty easy. Hope you like action shots. Now all those metal filings, just pour back in your awesome Walmart box. Oh, by the way, they only sent me one of these in a box and one loosely in another box. The one that was loosely was obviously the one that was incorrect. There's our hole. What's cool about the step bits is there's no guesswork. You just go until you stop. Now I stopped just shy of full. That's actually perfect. What's really cool about using a step bit as well is that when you put everything together, here's a sticker over the stainless to protect it. Nice touch for $9. And this is the new heavy duty. They were selling two. And I checked Amazon. Actually, I try to get a lot of my stuff from local mom and pops, but it's very hard to do. Most of them don't sell stuff anymore. Spin that nut right off of there. I'm probably the biggest nut of them all, so you probably figured that out, and if you're still watching my videos, you're probably like-minded, or you're just really bored. Either way, I'll take it. So utilizing these, your gaskets are going to go in between here. I'm going to use the nut to sandwich on. So all I did was take, again, if I'm super simplifying this, it is not because I'm assuming you don't know what you're doing. It's because somebody may not. So all I did was put on a rubber gasket with the fancy silver gasket cover. Now, that edge is deburred, and that's another beauty of a step bit. No need to file. Let's see if I can keep this up on camera. So all I'm doing, pushing through, getting that inside gasket in place. I'm going to hold this long enough so that you can see. One of my complaints about YouTube videos is they don't hold things long enough. Get that as close as you can. Put that secondary shiny cover up behind. And all you're doing is sandwiching rubber between metal. And if you do this right, you're watertight. So, going back to show you now, you can see I've got that little nut threaded down on there. I'm going to tighten it. And I'm just going to hand tighten. Anything you do with metal, tools, whatever, just go hand tight. Especially when it involves O-rings, gaskets, washers. You'd be surprised, very little in this world needs to be more than hand tight. Now again, hand tight so you feel resistance, and then keep going by hand and see. And that's going to provide you a decent, sturdy drink container. Now, hand tight and then a little more. So as tight as you can get it by hand, and then you're going to get a wrench and you're going to go just that little bit extra. And that's just going to prevent you from over torquing it, so if you need to make adjustments. Now what I would do, and what I am going to do, is this is going to be needed cleaned out anyway. So I'm going to take it to the sink, fill it up, make sure it's watertight. I'm going to get a wrench on that, I'll show you that, and we're going to have the first half of our awesome non-Berkey. So we're going to call it a Shruberkey. A Shruberkey. For drinky, shrinky, maybe shrinky. Yeah, this is not trying to cheap out from Berkey. I mean, you guys still have to buy their replacement filters for $107 for 2. You can do up to 4. Your 16 quart stock pot is going to be able to handle a couple of gallons of water for you. 4 quarts to a gallon becomes 2 gallons. This awesome mistake from Walmart, which you suck for. Not the first time. Got a gift card for you. One of my relatives over Christmas sent me the wrong one. Now this may work out in that it's not so bulky, but whoever complained about anything being bulky. Gonna get a wrench on that. We'll tighten that down. What's neat is you could actually get like a 5-gallon bucket. Get one of those caps for the orange buckets at your big box store. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say Home Depot, so you'll have to guess what that orange box store is. But you could get some kind of a little cap, set that on there, and you could actually double-sided tape the bottom of this to a cap and actually have that. And then you could, theoretically, take that, set it on top of your 5-gallon bucket. So when you've got filtered water, if you're trying to store multiple things of water, you could just set that on top, tip it over into the bucket, and then you got a cap that keeps your bucket fresh, and you always have water that you can keep going on your system. So maybe I'm designing and building the very first 3-tiered water system. So we got 1, 2, and 3. If we're really smart, we'll take a Sawyer Mini and use that to add a secondary drip down into the 5-gallon pail below there. So you're hearing it first here. We're getting pretty crazy with our creativity, and that's what's awesome about shrub crafting. This is an 1.5 wrench, adjustable. All I'm going to do is go in here and tighten clockwise. It's righty tighty, lefty loosey. Probably should get a socket and do this the right way. Oh, there we go. Now, I only gave that a tiny little bit, maybe a turn and a half around, because it felt a little loose. And the inside sucked in pretty darn good. The outside still has a little bit of a gap, which tells me we've got some ways to go. Yeah, not knocking the other water systems that are out there, but most of us are on budgets. So being prepper minded, you know, safety minded. I know that if you're reading this or watching this, you've probably read about fluoride in water in some states, you know, mind control and all that awesome stuff. It's not a good thing. Sure, it's great for dentists. Alright, we're almost there. You can see that gasket is starting to compress. When I was getting ready to purchase my Berkey, and I actually looked at them, and then I got to see the Aqua, whatever it is, the other one. That's pretty much the same amount of money. I got to thinking I could probably build one of these. I went on YouTube, found a video of lots of people building different ones, 5-gallon. Fantastic. Stainless with stainless. Can't get any sexier than that. Let's do our water test. And now we're just looking for any leaks. I don't see anything. Now for the moment of truth, we have water. Pretty cool. Now, since Walmart screwed up so bad, I've got two choices. Was planning on having 2 of these lids. Now I've got 1. So the easiest thing to do is take the lid of the bottom one that'll be resting on anyway to cut out the base for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this pot, because the idiots that be screwed that up for me. So since there's a handle here, I can come in, even up. If you want to be precise, get a measuring tape. Alright, so I'm going to turn mine upside down. Drop the pot as close to center as possible with a measuring tape. Measure my sides. I'm about right there. Now again, this is on the inside. I'm going to take a Sharpie. I'm holding down, try not to move it. I'm marking the outer edge of the stainless pot. Yep. I did slip. All right. It's the outer edge. Anything wider than this, the pot's going to fall through. Now I anticipate drilling holes just far enough apart in the bottom to allow 2 filters. There's going to be room for 4, so I'm going to put my first 2 weight distribution, 1 on each side of the handle, in the center. So I know I need to support weight. And if I know that my drip center is going to be in here, I can take that section out completely safe and a little bit more. So for starters, I'm going to remove this center section. Now you don't have to mark this, I'm just trying to show you. And what that'll do is that will get rid of that hump. Now, since I'm already doing that, I might as well come down here to about, let me see if I can see, about here. That's where that next hump ends and goes flat. That flat portion is where it's going to allow you to get your best seal on here. So the idea is to take that section off. Now, what is that section? Going to the inside, I can see roughly where that ends. Wow, I even did that on the right side. Here and there, look at that. So what I'm going to do is right here in the middle, I'm going to put that step bit. Because I know if I accidentally punch through too hard, I'm not going to go beyond my top, and it doesn't matter about the inside. And that will still allow me that much space, which is 1 7/8, more than enough space to seal the bottom and sit on top. So let's get going. I'm getting excited. Only have a limited amount of time, so like I said, I don't know that I'm going to take this back to Walmart. Now, I'm going to go through the top. Let's see. Back this out. And you don't have to go backwards. That allows me to get any initial wobble I got going on. Gets me just a little point. You can use a set. They're fun too. If you don't know what a nail set is, or I'm not a nail set, a punch just for a starter, they work awesome. Okay, whenever you're drilling metal, to get started, a little dimple, I'm not trying to bend the metal, which is why you see me not pushing super hard. If I wanted to get through that real fast, I'd put 2 hands on here and just punch it. It'd go right through. I'm trying to do a controlled speed hold, and I'm varying the speed so that once it starts to go through, and you're going to notice that it's going through by seeing those shavings appear. Once those shavings appear, just continue to press. Regulate the pressure though, because once it bites and it starts going through, you're going to get on your hole pretty quick. Now I don't want to go past my outer line, because that's what my cut to line is when I go in a circle here. There's my bite. Woo. There's some hot little shavings on my leg. That is your hole. Now the next thing I want to do is I actually could find some object to trace. I'm just going to measure out the distance from the inside hump So this inside hump to the outer edge of my line right here, which is a little, the inside is actually still away from my outer line. By the way, isopropyl alcohol will take this right off, which you should have in your first aid kit. I'm going to measure that inside line, and I am dead on at 1 inch, okay? Almost like you planned it. And all I'm going to do is, coming off that lip, I'm just going to put a mark at 1 inch right around. Trying to stay as consistent as you can be. The closer you keep them together, the easier it is to go from line to line. The most important thing is that you're being safe. Metal shards, splinters hurt. And wear safety goggles. Keep pets and kids away. The reason for punching a hole is so that you've got an easy place to start. Step bits, like I said, you can have 1 bit to do a ton, and it's going to last a long time. I already have the bit, but they probably range anywhere from a cheap Chinese made one, a couple of bucks, all the way up to probably 15, 20 bucks depending on what size you get. These snips, now if you're not sure which way they cut, check the package, but these are going to go left for me, and you're going to be able to see. I don't want to screw this up, so I want to turn it towards me. As you can see, these have a left directional turn. And with that large starting hole, you can fit them nicely in here. And all I'm going to do is follow around. Be careful not to slip, because this is going to be super, super sharp. And anytime you want to relieve the tension, come back down in and cut a little return right here. And you can bend that over. Again, be super, super careful. I would recommend gloves if you want to do that. You don't have to. Safety is definitely important. Let's face it, we live in a world of, safety, safety, safety. In reality, are you going to be? That's up to you. So trying to stay cut into your line. And like I said, all I'm going to do is cut some of this, bend it back. Now, metal shavings. And all I'm doing is this is just allowing for your aviation snips to continue cutting. Double-sided tape, Home Depot. I'm sorry, big box store. I'm not sure if I can say that. I mean, obviously I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I can't get my sponsors in trouble. Astrid, no. That's why we call her Astard. She's eating the cowhide that we have over the chair that she's allowed to sit in. Hence Astard. With any luck, my circle is going to be complete. Oh, Star Wars joke, sorry. With any luck, though, I'm going to have a relatively good-looking circle. A little bit is off here, and what's nice about directional snips is you can come in and clean them up. Make sure, remember if you're doing this, to get it done before your other half comes home. And that way when they watch the video, and you know, I don't even know if she's a subscriber, probably not, she can see the mess you made and not know it existed, but if you ever get in trouble for it, but I cleaned it up. There is my lid. So here's the lid. I'm dying laughing because I'm like, where's that stupid small pot? The small pot's here. Here's the big lid. So the big lid sits on there. This one sits right on top. Let me get this set this down. This is what our product's going to look like. I'm going to drill the holes for the filters. We'll attach the double-sided tape. We're going to test it out this weekend. So a half round, this is a triangular file. Nicholson makes great files, cheap. Pick them up, American made. You want a metal file, not a wood rasp. And when filing, you want to get in the habit. Of using them one directionally. I've seen a lot of videos where people are forward and backwards, forward and backwards. Files are designed to cut in one direction, and that is away from you. When you come back, you're actually damaging the edge of your file. Use files correctly. Wood rasps you can go forward and backwards with if you want to. You're not going to damage your edge depending on the file. But get in the habit of going away from yourself. And you're going to feel and you'll hear when filing there's an art to it. And if you're not good with files, I highly recommend you buy an old axe head, old axe if you find somewhere. Go to a yard sale, go to eBay, go to Amazon, find an old axe, find a cheap axe, and spend a few hours with a file in your hands trying to profile an axe blade. You're going to hear how metal reacts. You're going to know the difference of sharpening, deburring, rolling these edges off. You're going to feel the grippiness. And you're just going to get to know how to use a tool. Doesn't mean you're going to become a master at it overnight. This is a triangular file. A chainsaw file would work, but it's got less surface area. Using a full round. All I'm doing is getting that edge down in one direction here so that as I pull back on it, I'm not going to hurt myself. And I'm basically removing burrs that I don't want to get. Now the next thing, once I've gone all the way around, which I almost have, I'm going to go to the other side. Alright, and we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to go the opposite direction, and then I'm going to run this file around the face of it. I may even take a stone, an axe stone, and just kind of hit that and deburr that whole thing. This is the same thing you'd be doing if you were sharpening a knife, an axe, a tool. It's pretty darn sharp. I'm going to go on this side again, do one more pass on a flat angle, try to get rid of that burr, and then I'm going to take a stone, sandpaper, or even the side of the file and go in the direction of the grain. Again, slightly curving like this and just trying to take that edge off. You're going to hear the edge difference. It's because it's going against that complete end grain. I'm really just trying to dull this up. Let's see if I've got one of my stones. I've got a stone. I had a circular one somewhere. Probably at the property. And all I'm doing now is a very, very soft stone. It's fine. It's actually cutting right off on the stone. I don't need much. You could do this on a sander if you wanted to. Take a circular sander. A random orbital sander. Astrid, get your chair. Herding puppies, you know. What are you doing, Astrid? Pull over in your chair. Ah. She is an Astrid, but she really is an Astard. I've got a stone. I had a circular one somewhere. Probably at the property. And all I'm doing now is a very, very soft stone. It's fine. It's actually cutting right off on the stone. I don't need much. You could do this on a sander if you wanted to. Take a circular sander. A random orbital sander. There you go. Took that edge right off. Cool. Now we're going on the inside. Maybe flip the stone because I don't want it to wear all up, because it is. All right, and that is pretty darn dull. Right there is not. Astrid, get your chair. Herding puppies, you know. Cool. That's good to go. We'll rinse that off. Now have our two pots with a lid. So actually, because I've got my two different sizes, it's like buying two Berkeys in one. You can get your Royal Berkey and your Imperial Berkey, and the Emperor Berkey, or Dictator Berkey, maybe. Not sure what that would be. So there we have it. I just figured it out. I had one of those awesome moments of clarity. This is dull. It still has a little bit of sharp edge, and I want to protect that. I've got 1/4 inch or 3/8 clear tubing, which I always carry in one of my shrub out kits. Remember the SOBs. If you haven't seen that video, check out the SOB. I'd sell them, except I don't, so you have to make your own. That's part of the fun. But the SOB kit I have in one of mine is a huge section of tubing. I used a ton of it in diving for different purposes, but it is clear tubing you can use for a straw, drop into a hard to reach area. I want to cut it. We're going to wrap the inside of this so that it nests nicely. And depending, I think I'm going to wrap the outer edge, set it on there. It's a little bit quieter, add some of the stability. That is going to be awesome. That is my now patented on YouTube design improvement to the Shruberkey. We'll call it a Shruberkey kit, maybe, right? Yeah, something stupid like that. But anyway, that's what's going to be. We're going to put some tubing on there. Now I have to find it. But we're going to wrap that tubing into here. I'm going to put that double-sided tape on here. We're going to set that base on and install those filters. And we are going to be good to go for some gravity water. Here's some surgical silicone tubing. Why silicone, you ask? Because couldn't find the clear stuff. This is actually 1/4 inch. That's what I have. I can't find the clear stuff. It's in one of my shrub out kits. I think it's at the shrub property. So more for your shrub in weekends. This stuff is not exactly the easiest to cut. Seeing if I can get that started. Alright. Now if you've ever tried to cut a perfect circle, or even cut a line on a circular object, it's not exactly the easiest. So we're going to go with the best we can and hope for the best. Check that out. You always want to give yourself just a little extra than what you think you're going to do. That, I think, that's awesome. Now I've got a complete safe. It's silicone. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to rot. It's not going to fall apart like rubber. Is an excellent choice for that. Somebody I'm sure sells it. Silicone tubing. That's what that is. Excellent piece of equipment, by the way. If you don't have silicone tubing for any reason in your kit, you know, my bow, one of my bows on the Matthews, the peep is the old style with the rubber that straightens it out. He put mine to silicone because I found every year mine was dry rotten, and I just could not get it to last. So using the silicone on there, tied it on, and it's been on there probably 5+ years minimum with the silicone, ready to go. All right, that's the next step. Berkey blacks. All the stuff that they do. Don't throw this out. That's your primer. Theoretically, that's a Berkey black. That's your sealing ring for the inside. Second one. Screw those down a little bit. There's videos on how to prime these, but basically you take your little primer, stick it up, and go to your faucet. Now, being off-grid with no faucet, they sell a little squeeze ball assembly that works really well. Berkey blacks. All the stuff that they do. Don't throw this out. That's your primer. Theoretically, that's a Berkey black. That's your sealing ring for the inside. Second one. Screw those down a little bit. There's videos on how to prime these, but basically you take your little primer, stick it up, and go to your faucet. Now, being off-grid with no faucet, they sell a little squeeze ball assembly that works really well. So I'm going to take these, mark the inside of my quart pan, use the step bit to drill a hole. You don't want to go any bigger than the sealing ring, so you need to stay small. We're going to take our pot, we'll line these up side by side like that. I'm going to mark those in the bottom. Get a rough idea where I want them. And don't drop your filter. Mine just rolled. Thankfully it didn't fall on the tit. There's one. Just gonna check that. That was I'm gonna go at least one step deeper. And there's 2 steps deeper. There we go. Nice and easy. Those threads were sticking out. So I think that was about 5 steps in. Okay, so if you, the only step that I have not shown so far is washing the metal shavings and inside of a pan out. But if you've never washed a pan before with Dawn dish soap, go to your kitchen sink, grab some Dawn from Walmart or wherever, and proceed. So you stick the rubber tubey cap on. Sorry about the lighting. And we hold it up and slowly pressurize. And what you're looking for not that. you this the easy way. It'll fill up. Once it fills up, it will start to weep. There we go. And that weeping is what you want. It's all the air bubbles out. Repeat. That may be the only video that shows you priming them with water soaking everything around there, so it might be a YouTube first. And there you go. All the air is forced out. And we are Aquamis Prime. See what I just did there? Optimus Prime, Aquamis Prime. There you go. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to transport these in a zippy bag right side up like that. And then I will install it to Shrubstead. So here is the working Berkey. So the big Shruberkey on an AV cart. Coleman dual fuel. Works awesome, gasoline. Fourth of July weekend. Well, there's the moon. It's a beautiful, it's been rainy all day, torrential. It's finally let up. There's some of the Shrubstead. Porch isn't quite done. Good idea. Those Coleman dual fuels are great. Super efficient. Run off gasoline. Maybe I should do a review on that. But that Berkey's doing great. Take my well water. 10 gallon. It's got some orange down to it. A little bit of sediment. Use a pitcher and pour it in. And it's been producing pretty nicely.